Hello everybody and welcome back to artofdino.com and saveearth.us, and I've got an interesting article today for those South Dakotans out there about the Windy Cave in the Black Hills. Now, I found this article from August 16th, 1899, but it has a lot of interesting things regarding how this land was found, how it was taken over by the government, and what they found in it, and how massive it is. Again, another element that proves that most of the great finds, pretty much all of the great finds of this country that would shift the historical narrative into the truth direction instead of total fabrication, are all conquered by the government. They exist in a very brief ephemeral form in newspapers, and then they are barely ever talked about again. And so this place is open. It's a national park, but I guarantee you the massive amounts of it, because it's so big, are not being shown to the public at all, which means anything could be going down in there. They could be mining it. They could be discovering things all the time. They could be continuously going. They could be continued and connected to other places and other underground zones. All of it is under secrecy, and we don't know, but they have certain areas where people can see. But again, like they always do, they hide the good stuff for themselves, or they destroy it because they don't want anyone to find out no matter what. So take a look at this article and let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll chime in from time to time as I usually do. And if you're from South Dakota, definitely add as much insight as you can, because I love hearing from those who are there. So here we go. Wind Cave of the Black Hills. The recent decision of the Commissioner of the General Land Office at Washington in the famous case which involved the title of Wind Cave has awakened interest in this Black Hills wonder. The ground upon which the cave is situated was claimed both by the South Dakota Mining Company as a mineral location and by J.D. McDonald as a homestead. The decision of the Land Commissioner throws both litigants out of court, and the valuable property will undoubtedly pass into the hands of the government. I'm sure that happened numerous times, and still does. This will suit the Black Hills people very well, of course. The cave has not been advertised in the last few years owing to the uncertainty of the title, and it is generally looked upon as a good thing for the Black Hills to have the matter settled. Wind Cave is situated near the famous hot springs of the Black Hills, and a drive of about 10 miles in one of those old-time tally-hoes brings the visitor to the 10th wonder of the world. So they were considering it that big, putting it on scale with the other wonders of the world. And this is the Wind Caves in South Dakota, which, again, not many people have ever really heard about. But 10th wonder of the world, that means they knew exactly how important of a discovery it was back then. Wind Cave was discovered in 1877 by an odd character called Lame Johnny. This sounds like a fabricated story already. Johnny was one of the many in the early days of the Black Hills who got their living by holding up the Deadwood Cheyenne stagecoach. He was invited to a necktie party one night and never lived to contest the claim of his priority to the discovery of Wind Cave. Looks like he told the wrong person or something. In 1884, a cowboy discovered a small opening 8 by 10 in the bottom of the gulch, from which the wind was rushing with great force. The hole was blasted out large enough to permit an entrance to the first single chamber, and here the development of the cave rested until 1890, when the ground, having been located as a mineral claims, men were put to work exploring and blasting out other chambers. Just blasting. And I guarantee you that's where a lot of this destruction came. If things were pristine at one point, they would soon be blasted so that they wouldn't be. At the present time, fully 100 miles of passageways have been opened up in 3,000 chambers, varying in size from 12 by 12 to over 3 acres have been discovered. So think about that. That is unbearably massive. That is a city right there. I'm very curious to see how many cities are actually 100 miles, have 100 miles worth of roads within them. But at the present time, I'm going to read that again. The present time, and this is 1899, 100 miles of passageways have been opened. That's like the catacombs. And 3,000 chambers varying in size from 12 by 12, which is even generally pretty big, to over 3 acres. And there's 3,000 of them. That is ridiculous and remarkable. It makes me wonder how many things they probably just literally blasted and deformed the ones that were open to the public, and then kept the other ones as pristine as they can after they robbed them of most of the minerals and precious metals and things that would be of any value. So it goes on and says only 3 of the 14 routes have been open to the public. Yep, there we go. 3 of the 14 routes. The Garden of Eden, Fairgrounds, and Pearly Gates. Very symbolic, and it's funny how they were released. But what do they call the other ones that they didn't release? Is it just because they were too dangerous, or is it because they would blow the people's minds to a point where there'd be no coming back, and the history narrative would just disintegrate after some of the discoveries made in some of these underground places? That's what I like to think, is the government hides everything from us, and these pathetic people are not whistleblowing, which they should. If you have the information that could redefine history, blow the whistle on it. Pathetic not to. You just these people just keep being afraid of their people above them. Oh, I don't want the Smithsonian to be mad at me. Well, do it. Who cares? These people are garbage, and they need to be run over, stampeded with the truth. So here we go. The thousands of people who have come from all parts of the world to see this wonder pronounce it unlike anything else on the globe, differing in formation and scenery from all other caves. I wonder what that means, how that classification occurs, and what, I wonder, makes it so different, and what were they seeing back then before they had a chance to destroy it all. Geologists say it is an extinct geyser, and Professor Merrill of the Smithsonian Institution says the formation is unknown. And that makes me wonder what geysers really are. Are they just a natural thing, or are they a leftover technology from some ancient culture and advanced civilization that knew exactly how to make certain things, or how to make a hot water spout from the underground at certain time intervals? They could have all had towers relating to them, so it would have been smoother, less abrasive, less of an eruption. There could have been a lot that these were. They seem to me like they were a form of tech rather than just something completely natural, especially with the timings that they do and how they're so repetitive. That seems mechanical to me, but I'll explore that in a later video. But anytime the Smithsonian gets involved, you know you can't trust whatever they're saying. The guides have therefore had to furnish their own names for the peculiar formations, and they point out to the visitor the beautiful boxwork, popcorn, and frostwork. Wind Cave also contains the formations of other noted caves, such as the stalactites, stalagmites, geodes, quartz, calcite crystals, and mineral-bearing rocks. There are 8 different tiers of chambers. In the first tier is found the water formation, beautiful clear stalactites hanging from the ceiling and some connecting with the stalagmites on the floor. The second tier is the frostwork, a bank of snow composed of tiny, fine needle-like crystals of the purest white, from 1/4 of an inch to 2 inches deep. The third tier is the very delicate boxwork, the prevailing formation of the cave. In the fourth tier, the boxwork is a little heavier and transparent. The fifth is the popcorn formation. In the sixth and seventh tiers, the boxwork is still heavier with geodes and all colors of crystals. And in the eighth tier, which is 500 feet below the entrance, the formation is heavier than anything seen before and is indigo blue in color and dazzling to the eye. That makes me wonder if this was just, if this was a factory of some sort, an old manufacturing plant, or some kind of industrial civilization that was doing these things in levels. Everything was smooth and functioning at one point. Everything made sense. And all these things that we see, all these crystals and different things that to us are just like fancy and don't really have much purpose, may have definitely had purpose to those ancient ones who knew a lot about everything and utilized everything. I mean, you think about all the things that we see around us that people are not exploring the potential of. Back in the day, they did, because they wanted to find out everything, and they wanted to discover the properties and the principles of everything that they saw. So they would have known the value in things that we just completely ignore. That is one idea. But again, who knows? That's a lot of tiers, though. 8 tiers of massive stuff, and inevitably lead 500 feet below the entrance. So this is astounding. 3,000 chambers, 100 miles of tunnels. This is a metropolis, an ancient underground everything, and goes again with the theory that this whole world was a construct at one point by some ancient advanced masters. And the last paragraph says, The cave retains a temperature of about 45 degrees all the year, the air being dry and fresh. The rising or falling of the barometer governs the inrush or outgoing of the air throughout the entrance to the cave, which is of itself a wonder. And again, almost like a tech, like how we see in these pyramids and all these different things have frequencies that allow these kind of similar air currents or kind of protective energies in them. We don't know anything about these properties of all this ancient stuff like these people do. They knew how to turn frequencies and stone and different minerals and everything, giant massive structures, into workable machines with a purpose. We don't know how to do any of that, which means that there could be so many things all around us with massive purpose that we don't know. And again, I always think about that when I see different places like Tibet and all these different things where I see the Himalayas, which look like ancient structures and ancient formations of all different kinds, and then you see that earth doesn't grow on any of them. And I'm willing to believe that a lot of the dust and destruction and rubble that plants and things do not grow on was all once buildings, because it's different than soil. The stone that crumbles to dust, it's different than soil, and stuff probably can't grow in it. And we see a lot of that in the Himalayas, and I'm going to dive into that again. But this is all very very interesting. I went on a lot of different rants, but I hope you guys got something from it. And again, share what you can from South Dakota. I know the people around there have definitely discovered some things that are not popularized, but put them down in the comments. Let us know, tell us some stories, and thanks. So much more to discover if we keep digging and if whistleblowers start blowing the whistle like crazy at the Smithsonian and beyond. So do it if you're out there. So from Save Earth and Art of DiNo, bless you all. Have a great one.